Hello, today we are dealing with a KEF 105/3. This model, the one I have, is a rosewood finish made in 1992. As with most of these at this point, the woofer foams have pretty much gone completely. So I'm going to show you how to disassemble these. It's a little more complicated than most speakers, but you can handle it. It's not too bad. I'll show you step by step. First step, we got to take off this mid-range, high-range panel on the front, just using a 5mm Allen wrench. All right, I've just undone the 4 Allen bolts here, and when you take this off, just be careful. It's going to want to fall. Keep a hand under it. Now, the other thing to notice, right here is where they mount into the cabinet. There is a washer on each of these. It will fall out the bottom. Just make sure you find each of them. You're going to need it to keep the sound deadening intact. The other thing to keep in mind, it's going to be attached to a very short wire here. This harness, just going to have to pull this straight out, pull that off, pop it out, and you're all set. All right, so next step, to get to the woofers, we got to take off this bottom panel here. We've got regular screws all the way around. Okay, on the bottom panel, I've got all the screws out. Keep some of the feet in so you can use them to pull this bottom panel out. Sometimes it's a little sticky. Pull this off. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to set the camera down 1 second. Pulling this off. What you'll notice right away, huge crossover on the bottom of this thing. Just let that kind of sag. Take note of where the wires connect. So we've got blue, white, yellow, green, black, and red. Flip these off. I'll do that in a second. And then this side, you're going to have 2 wires, your main positive and negative. Pop these off. Take this whole panel off the cabinet and set that aside. Okay, to make your life easy, just disconnect the wires to the crossover. Keep in mind of where they are, where they go. Red here, gray here. We've got some orange at the bottom. And then it looks like a black. Just disconnect them from the crossover. Makes your life easy when you try and take the woofers out. Because if you don't do this, you're going to have to unsolder the connections from the woofers in order to get them out. Just disconnect it from the crossover. They're easy clips. Take them off. And the next step, you see this bolt on the bottom of the woofer. It's a 10mm. You're going to unbolt that. That's holding in the rod that connects both woofers together. Once you do that, we'll move around to the front side. Let me get my flashlight so you can see here. We've got inside to the woofer, if I can get the camera on it, there's 3 nuts on these bolts. Do not unscrew the bolts, just hold them steady with the screwdriver or whatever. Usually they don't move, they're more like studs. They're 7mm nuts. Undo the 3 of them. They're pretty easy. They come off. Once you have them off, do that for the top woofer as well. So it's the same sort of deal going on with the top woofer. All right, next step. So we've got the woofers unhooked on all 3 of those bolts. Now the next step, make your life easy. Inside the center cone, right in the middle hole there is another 10mm bolt holding that rod in. Take that out, loosen that, get the rod off there, and then pull this woofer straight out the hole like the shape of the woofer. Now, when it comes to this woofer, we're going to have to adjust a little bit, and I'll show you that in a second. However, you see these gray and orange wires. See how they're glued there? You can undo that glue if you wish. I'm going to desolder from the top woofer. The bottom woofer, you're fine disconnecting straight from the crossover. Okay, I've got these desoldered. So the way this comes out is you got to take that green foam that kind of lays in there. You got to take that out. But pretty easy from there. You just take the woofer, and this part, you just got to make sure it's lined up correctly. Fat parts aren't in the way of each other. You just slip it out through there. That's the and this panel here has to come out because there's this brace. Gotta take this panel out and the one that's directly above it. Those are the only 2 panels that have to come out. They are glued down. Use your fingers, trying to pry them up. We'll get those out, and then we'll just pull this woofer straight out this hole made for it. kind of got to angle it a little bit, but it comes out. As you can see, this is pretty much the case with a lot of these speakers these days. You've got the paper woofer with the foam surrounds. They degraded pretty gnarly over the years. I mean, it's just like falling apart. So we're going to replace that. Little donuts around here, and I'll show you the reinstall. All right, we've got the foam installed here. Nice surrounds done, donuts done. This is actually one of the better ones that turned out for me. All right, we're gonna put this in. It's very easy. All right, reinstallation, pretty easy. There's a couple tricks I learned on the first cabinet. I'll teach you here. So, you know, straight in with it. Nothing's crazy here. Putting it back the way it came out. Now, when you get it in here, it is a little bit tricky to get on these posts. Just kind of line it up. It just takes a couple tries. Don't put the foam in first. We'll do that next. All right, the next step's up to you. You can either put in the foam block panel in here next, or you can reinstall the top woofer. It's up to you. I did it, I believe I put the foam in first in the last one, but it doesn't really matter. All right, we've got it resoldered up. Nice and easy. Next step, put the rod back in. This step is really easy. You just feed the rod back through, put it in the lower woofer, right in the hole, get it in there, and then just line it up with the, it doesn't matter which way, right? So they're both the same direction, because you're going to be feeding screws in both ends. Line it up with the top woofer. It may be a little snug, fit it in there, and then put the bolts back through. Now, before you go trying to install this rod, right, install it fully in the bottom woofer. Tighten up the bolt. That'll pull the rod back and give you plenty of space on this side. Put it back through the front side of the woofer, right, the bolt. Tighten that up. It should be fine. You won't have to loosen the woofer or anything. So on this one, I kind of screwed up. I didn't do that. I had to loosen the woofer back up. Not a big deal, but just takes extra time. All right, next step, reinstall the foam pads. Now, on the first cabinet, I tried this with hot glue. It didn't go so well. What I recommend, what seemed to go well, was woofer foam glue, the same thing you used to refoam the woofer. If you've got any extra, that's perfect. This is the stuff I have. It's from Simply Speakers. This is the best stuff I've seen for any sort of woofer refoaming. If you've got regular acrylic glue, that's fine too. That stuff's the bomb. Anyway, just put a couple dabs on the bottom. Reinstall the foam. Make sure they're below the studs for the woofers. Not a big deal. Route the wires accordingly, and then do the top side as well. All right, next step is super easy. It's just this square piece of foam. Route it around the woofer, just like it was previously. Just makes a big square. I'm not going to do this because it's really easy. Make a square around the woofer. Next step, reinstall the foam that looks like this. Right, next step, reinstall the crossover. As you can see here, black on top, white on the bottom. You've got the connections here. Negative VE is black, positive VE white. This side we've got, in descending order, blue, white, yellow, green, black, red. When you'll put the screws in the bottom all the way around, you don't need to tighten them super tight, and then you've got the feet in here as well. Next step, the last step, is the most difficult. It's not that difficult, and I'll show you exactly what you got to do to make it easy on yourself. Okay, best way to do this, lay this on top just like this. Reattach the clip, don't forget. And then you're going to gently lay it on top with the washers in line, and I'll show you how to connect it. Alright, so once you got it laid down, it may take a couple tries. Wiggle these around. You may have to lift this up, look, kind of reposition the wash. Tighten these up, and you're all finished. Put the plug in if you've taken it out to make your life easy. I've got it over here. You just push it in, no big deal, and you're all set. Fire this baby up.